A key speaker at the Asian Financial Forum 2013 here in Hong Kong is Zhu Min. He is the Deputy Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and he speaks to us from Washington, D.C. Well, thanks for joining us. Let's look first of all at the US economy. And the Managing Director of the IMF has actually looked for a long-term solution to the problems besetting the US economy, the debt problems, the fiscal cliff. So how confident are you that actually the United States is on the right track?
It is both short-term and long-term in the U.S. Fiscal conditions. The short-term obviously is a tax cut package, which is involving 4.3% total GDP growth rates. The short-term is if we move 4.3% tax package off the table, you will bring U.S. immediately into the recession. So the U.S. policymaker should make early agreements to reduce the uncertainty, and I think it's also bring the confidence back to the market. It's very important. But more important also is a long-term issue, because there's a long-term fiscal sustainability. Because in the short term, we have to carefully balance both the growth and fiscal adjustments. But for long term, if you're looking for the demographic change, if you're looking for the entitlements, if you're looking for all the growth forecastings, maintain long-term fiscal stability is ever become important issues. We are positive for the U.S. because they still have a lot of room to maneuver to go through the whole thing, but the policymaker have to make a decision as soon as they can. And currently, obviously, the most important issue is to reduce the uncertainty, because this is a policy, U.S. fiscal situations not only have a big impact on the U.S. economy, but also have a big impact on the global economy as well.
Now, another major problem facing the IMF is, of course, the Eurozone crisis. How would you rate the approach taken by the Troika, which of course includes the IMF, where it comes to the European problems? And bearing in mind there have been many of these agreements and sub-agreements going on from time to time.
The Troika, the EU, the ECB, and the fund has been working together and has been working very hard, try to bring the financial stability back to the euro area, particularly in the country. We had a program such as Portugal's, Ireland's, and Greece. And with the recent policy actions, we thought the financial market has been easing. For example, you see the volatility reduced and the bonds yields drops. And CDS also drops. If you increase and the CDS drops, the bonds yield drops roughly 165 base points. And if you're looking for also in euro areas, the triple B rated corporate bonds currently rate is roughly 365 base points. And just 12 months ago, it was 800 base points. So it really lowers. It shows market is easing now. But obviously, and the market is still very fragile, as we have to say, and because there's still the deleveraging in the process, so still the capital issue for the banking sector, so still for the program countries to reassess to the market issues. I think there's still issues we solve. I would say the European policymakers try their best and really moving in the right direction. I think that's very important. There is a proposal for the banking union, is a proposal for the fiscal pact. The ECB bring the OMT on the table, and also they have a lot of proposals to further promote the single market. I think this is very important to further enhance the currency union. They are really moving in the right direction.
So in short, 2013 will be a stronger year for the peripheral members of the Eurozone that you mentioned.
I think 2013 should be a better year, because if you're looking for the whole Europe, they have a negative growth rate this year, euro area, and the next year the growth can be a little stronger. But the growth is still a main concern. That's what I'm trying to say, because unemployment rate is still high, and when you do the structural reforms, obviously sometimes not necessarily be very favorable on growth side as well. But I would say the next year, if you're looking for the financial market, if you're looking for the growth perspectives, it should be better than this year.
Now, turning to Asia, many commentators have talked about intra-regional trade, how many of the countries in Asia, surrounding China in particular, are going to be particularly robust. How do you see the outlook for China and Asia going forward in 2013? Is it going to be the strongest momentum for growth?
Actually, that will be the main drive force to promote the regional growth. For the emerging Asia, we forecast roughly 6.1% GDP growth rates for this year, and we see even stronger growth for next year, around 6.8%. And one thing is very much from the intra-regional trades and activities. And what happened in Asia is forming, I call the pan-Asia integrated vertical supply chain. And grab more and more global other areas into supply chains. For example, you probably now believe Brazil today is belong to the supply chain, Chile as well, and also some countries in Africa as well. We expect to see more and more intra-trade, intra-activities happens in these supply chains because they will have more trade among themselves and also more financial activity, financial flow move among themselves, which will be a very important drive force for the growth for the region in the next few years.
Well, thanks very much for those answers. Now, you're attending the Asian Financial Forum 2013 here in Hong Kong. So what are the sort of messages you want to hear and indeed want to deliver at the forum?
I think this is a very important financial forum and for the region and for the whole world. The first issue is the global financial system is still very fragile. So we need to working together. And we need to take a very cooperative approach and working together to further enhance the financial stability of the whole world. The second issue is Asian is to play more and more important role in the whole world now, not into the whole trades in manufacturing, exports in the GDP production area, but also in financial area as well. And in the past 10 years, Asia exported roughly 3.2 trillion capital to the whole world. I think this is a huge amount of capital. Asia have the capital, have a needs. So on how Asian further develop the deepening financial market to facilitate support Asia financial development and economic growth, and to support the whole global economic growth and the financial market. I think this is obviously a very important issues. And the third issues, I would very much to see with these forums and the global discussion, put Asia in the global context to see how Asia and the global financial market can work together to build a better system for everyone.